Good afternoon and welcome to the Pinecrest Business Association Member Spotlight. I'm Jennifer Gerson with the chairwoman of Pinecrest Business Association, and I'm joined today with Pam Mayers with the Mayers Group and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Realty. Pam and I spend a lot of time together. Not only are we, both part of the business association, but we're also partners in real estate, and we love to talk real estate. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
And really, everybody loves to talk real estate. I mean, whether you're sitting there with your neighbors out front and just talking, or even people I've just sold a house to. Hi.
My striped shirt.
So Grant just walked in.
Come on, Grant.
Come on, Grant.
Hello. You coordinate.
Do we look like we just got out of jail with our shirts?
Maybe you.
I don't think so.
This was not planned.
Yeah.
We totally did not plan this, but we match. So everybody does love to talk real estate.
Real estate, yes.
Whether it's me and you or Grant. And again,
Grant, talking about the Gables, I love all your raving about the Gables and what's going on.
Thank you.
He totally
so people should be. What we'd like to talk today about is people being educated, so you don't get taken advantage of, and what you should know. I mean, yes, you have a realtor or a lawyer to represent you, but still, it's your money.
Correct. And, right now, more than ever, people are talking real estate because the real estate market is so hot right now.
It is.
So if you've been thinking about selling your house, or the thought has crossed your mind, or you have a second property, an investment property that maybe you want to take advantage because the value's, much higher than it used to be, now's the time to list, right?
And that is what people are doing. And what has caused a repercussion, a good repercussion, but a repercussion of everybody wanting to selling their second properties and investment properties, because I had a customer who had an investment property. He was making $2,200, but now his rent is $3,200 a month. It just switched in a month. Why? Because everybody who was living in a rental property, the owners are going, wow, I can make a lot of money. I'm going to sell my investment property and I'll keep my money for a year or two, wait for things to go down, buy another one. So they're selling. So you have a lot of people in the rental market having to leave their rental homes and try to find something to live in.
Right. So don't be worried also if your renter wants to leave, because chances are you're going to rent it again. First of all, you're going to rent it again because the rental market is just as crazy as the selling market, and you're going to rent it for more money.
So much more money. We were with a friend last night and we were talking about it, and she's like, I'm going to go up like $50, $100. I'm like, you need to go up $1,000. I mean, and she's not going to do that to the poor rental person. But, you really need to look. If you're not in contract, if you own an investment property, you should call Jen or I and get an idea of how much money you can get. Because if you look at a neighborhood, as I did with one of my other customers, there was not one rental in this huge neighborhood. So I knew we could go up $1,000, and we ended up going up $1,000 and even getting $100 over that. So what does that tell you? There's just not a lot out there. But you want to be fair. You still want to do background checks. I have another friend of mine I just did a rental for, but we didn't go crazy with the price because we had priced it a little high, but we really wanted a good tenant. Mm-hmm. So we ended up something kind of keeping with the price we put it on, but he had good credit. We know he'll pay on time. He doesn't have pets. There's a lot of wear and tear on your house or your apartment or your townhomes or condos. It affects the whole rental market. So there's a big picture to look at when you rent to somebody. Mm-hmm. Not just what he's willing to pay. I know with EWM, when we do rentals, we take a listing, but we do a background check. Even if you're in an association that's doing a background check, we have the person, the tenant, pay for their own background check. EWM does this. And then we can take the credit score and any police history back to our customer and saying, okay, is this somebody you want to rent to or not? Because the association might do their credit check, but they don't care if their credit's 550.
Right. That's one of the nice things about going through us is the vetting process that we put the renters through to make sure that you're getting a reliable renter, not somebody that's going to do any damage to your property and so on and so forth. So it's very important when you're keeping your investment properties.
And it's very easy now, whoever is renting, you're in the driver's seat, the landlord. So you can easily ask for first, last, or security. But again, if you get somebody with a good credit score who's going to take care of it, and you want to just do first and security, that's fine too. You can be some flexible. But if you're moving down here from Chicago, New York, wherever you're coming from, I tell people, I have one lady I'm working with from Alaska. She's in the military, and she's we're going to look at property next week. But I told her, be prepared. It's for be prepared for first, last, and security. We can ask, but they're going to do background checks, and you need to be prepared. But another thing that if you are about to rent a place, you need to be careful about is how much money you give up front.
Right.
We hate to hear people being taken advantage of. And really, when you go to rent, you don't need to give that first month until the contract's signed, and then you should have your realtor escrow it. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason to give security or last month. You don't have to give 3 months to somebody you don't know, and you shouldn't be writing the check to the landlord even for first month. I've had people who want me to rent their property, and they're like, well, have them write all the checks to me now. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So what it works is you write one check up front, which is first month. It's held in deposit. It's held in escrow. Then when you move in, you get a cashier's check for last month in security, but you don't have to give that ahead of time. So the buyer, you need to know what your rights are and how to be smart and what to ask for, because remember, it's your money. Right,
of course. So let's switch over to selling, because right now, houses are selling like crazy, and a lot of people are listing. In a normal market, people really go through a lot to get their house ready to list.
Yes.
And in today's market, yes, you still have to go through some steps to get your house ready, but do you have to update the kitchen and update the bathrooms and paint all the walls? Or is it more of just like a deep clean, depersonalize, and get your house ready to get on the market?
That's exactly what it is. And you really don't have to spend that money. And before it was optional, because Miami is such a modern place to live, and you had so many people from out of town. So your taste is going to be different.
Of course.
Like, you might have one person saying, I want beige, but I'll tell you, anybody under 40, white is white. That's what color they want. They want the outside, they want the inside. White is white. They want it very clean. But when you're going to sell your house, I would say decluttering is huge, and really something as basic as cleaning. I had found something for a customer of mine recently, and he didn't take it because he's like, it was dirty. And I'm like, look around the dirt. But you know what?
Some
that's
people
hard.
Can't look past that.
They can't. They can't.
Because they don't want to buy or rent a dirty house.
No,
that's your
creepy.
First impressions are lasting impressions, right?
They are. That's a really true statement, regardless of what you're doing. And
it applies to everything.
But you know what? A nice thing about now selling is that you don't have to put all the money into your house. And I was just talking to another customer today, and I had sent her comps, and I was following up, and she was, and I can't tell you where it is, but she was like, okay, just tell me where I can move when I sell my house. But she was thinking about doing her floors, her kitchen, her bath. I'm like, no, don't do it. Because whether you have it updated or not, somebody's going to sell that house because they want the neighborhood. And you forget, living in Florida, we have great tax incentives. And a tax incentive is long-term. So they can take their time to do the bathrooms, and then they do it their taste, which is, something I'm trying to kind of redo a few things. And my husband and I are thinking, how much do we really need to redo? Maybe we just redo one bathroom because we have 4, and do we do our master or what, this and that? But, if I didn't have my husband I was married to, I'd say, no, you put it on the market and you don't take the stress out of your life and just sell it.
Exactly. Because they're going to come back in and redo it again. So, I think the top 3 would be, deep clean.
Yes.
Declutter.
Yes.
And stage.
And you know what? We have somebody on our group who will tell you what to keep and what not to keep. But again, the nice thing about a group is we're into taking the stress out of it for you. That's why you hire a realtor. And she can come in and she'll say, get rid of this, I'll keep that. We've come to situations where there's nothing in the house, and we bring our own things in and just make it comfortable, just cool enough. If there's nobody in the house, we'll do happy hours in the house. We try to make it fun.
Planners.
Yes, we are. And we get people in there. So that's really the name of the game. And another big mistake I see people making now is you really need to list the house, because trying to sell it yourself, you're not going to get the money out of it that you could get out. Because remember, the whole world is looking at South America, North America, Europe. Germany. I mean, people are buying houses unseen. And one nice thing we do is besides staging is we do pictures. We do people sometimes if they're buying a house that they are not able to go into, then that's a big thing. And pictures go a long way.
And the virtual tours.
And the virtual tours.
Very important in today's market. And, you just brought up something about for sale by owners. And a lot of people think that because the market is so strong that they can sell them the house
Which
themselves.
they can.
Of course. Absolutely.
Yes.
But by hiring a realtor, you're not really saving that much money because you're still paying the buyer's real estate commission.
Agent, right.
And the realtor really takes a lot off of your plate.
Yes. And again, if you can get $200,000 more for your house, you're really missing it. I mean, I find my customers who call me and we talk about whether it's a rental or for sale. I had somebody call me from Bali last night. I got to get back to her about comps. She has 2 properties she wants thinking about me selling, and she's a great customer. But it was interesting. Somebody had sent her some other comps for like 175, and I'm thinking, oh, I know it's going to be more than that. And I'm like, you can at least go up $50,000. And it's interesting because what we try to do is not just sell your house right away too. We try to get you as much money as possible. And what if you don't sell it one day, but you sell it in 2 weeks and you did get $40,000 more? Wow, that's a lot of money that, guess what? If you're buying something else, you're going to need that money.
Of course.
And it doesn't mean you don't buy, but that's one of the things you trade off. You're selling high, but you're also going to be buying high unless you can rent for a while. But there's no guarantee that it's going to go down, though people expect it not to be going up 20 or 30,000 every 2 weeks like it has been
year to date, right?
Yeah.
And then like you said, listing today, you're bound to get multiple offers.
Yes, you are bound.
So it's important to have a realtor help you guide you through all those offers, because just because an offer is the highest doesn't mean it's the best.
And that's true. Another thing to look at is how much money they're putting down. Mm-hmm. How much do they need to qualify for? Can you go up? We always call their mortgage company to make sure they're qualified. And you try to find out, gosh, could they qualify for more if we counter? Because you always want to try to counter. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just the way you do real estate. But you have to look at the terms too. People don't realize you have an inspection period people can cancel for any reason.
Right.
Okay, you're past that 10 to 15 days. But then after that, it really doesn't go hard till you get past the commitment date, which is a financing contingency. Now, if you're doing cash, guess what? The deal goes hard once the inspection period's over. But if they're financing it all, even 50%, 30%, they still have that contingency to get out, let's say after 30 or 35 days. So you want to make sure everything's done, like the appraisal. I have something that I'm closing on soon where they didn't do the appraisal. And I was like really, really worried. But I think what ended up happening is the pictures were so good and the virtual tour was so good that they looked at that and they didn't have to go into the house with COVID. Well, they did a drive-by, but they could go in the house. Literally, we do a virtual tour like you are walking through the house. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the appraiser did. And that with COVID times and just being aware of what's going on with the world, that's kind of a nice way to be. But you have to be, and that's good when the appraiser doesn't come right away and he's looking at pictures and everything sailed through. But remember, if they offer, let's say some realtor says, okay, your house is worth $1 million and you thought it was 800. It's still going to look, if it's financed, they're looking at the appraisal price. So if the bank doesn't think it's worth that much, then you go into renegotiations. Mm-hmm. So you can always tell them no, though if you're the seller, you can say, I don't have to take that appraised price. I had a deal recently this year where, one appraisal there was a difference with appraisers of $70,000. That was a lot of money to my customer.
Absolutely.
So, and I was quite sure I could get him a higher price. So I'm like, no, we said no to one contract. And we ended up going with a third contract, but my customer got his price. And that was just kind of at the beginning of the like we could see the craziness coming and he's like, So that was just the beginning, but the craziness is still here.
It's here. And
it's still here.
It doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon.
No.
And we talked about the seller's perspective. We talked about renting perspective. Let's talk about buying right now.
That's a hard subject.
It is.
You know, I have a lot of customers who are like, Pam, I want to buy. And I'm like, really? There's all sorts of, I'm sure you see them on Facebook where people are making, are working with buyers and they're like hitting their head against the wall because
I read something the other day that they showed a realtor showed her clients 47 houses, and the punchline is after they chose a house after 47 houses, one of the husband or the wife quit their job, so then they weren't going to qualify. But it's crazy. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. But you know, again, we're there to represent buyers and we will negotiate the best deal for the buyers. But what's some advice that we would give buyers that are looking in our area?
You know, you have to be able to move fast. I mean, sometimes I have people who text me at 11 at night, Pam, I saw this house. We need to go see it. And I'm like, yeah, we do. You think we can see it at 1 a.m? And so we just meet. I try to make that appointment first thing. We just move. And the nice thing about being with a group is that we can do that. We can say, okay, I can't do it. Jen, can you do it? Molly, can you do it? Chase, can you do it? So we have a group that can accommodate you, but you have to be able to move fast. And you also have to be able to do that contract and get it in.
Make the offer.
And you know what? It also helps when you know the other realtors in the area. I mean, I live in Pinecrest, you're in Palmetto Bay. It's great because we know who works there and you know each other and all of that. If you know you can work with somebody and they're fair and the deal will go through, that's really what you want, because it isn't only price. You want to be able to work with somebody because something will come up. Something will come up with the appraisal. Something will come up with the inspections. Though these days, I pretty much tell people, you know, I have a backup contract. That's another thing you can do when you're selling a house is get a backup contract. So you tell that to the person who bought the house and said, if you know, you ask for anything in inspections, I'll just go to the backup contract, which sometimes is more money than the first contract. And you can be honest and say, I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's significantly higher. So if you ask for, you know, the termiting, which is only $2,000, you know, just you're going to have to do it yourself because we don't have to pay for it. You can ask for it, which you want, but as is contracts mean a lot more now than they did.
So, you know, looking at it, you just mentioned Pinecrest and Palmetto Bay. So I think, you know, some advice in those areas is stay away from the 2s and the 7s, right?
Yes, we were talking about that. Yes.
You don't want to be on busy streets.
Yes, that is really important. And recently, there's been controversy in Palmetto Bay about some 7 houses, like 77th, 87th, 97th. They can open up those roads and there are a lot of times. Let's just use the example in Palmetto Bay.
87th Avenue.
87th Avenue.
Building the
bridge. It passed. But I remember showing on that road about, probably 3 or 4 years ago. Beautiful homes. And they are beautiful homes. But people that I was working with, the sellers said, Pam, do you think they're going to do a bridge here? And I'm like, there's a land. It's a short little bridge. Yeah, I think they're going to do a bridge. And what's interesting is, if you live in Palmetto Bay, which you do, you see signs stop the bridge. But if you go to Cutter Bay, it's like, build that bridge. We want that bridge.
You know, and obviously there's positives and negatives to anything. Because if, you know, you're in Palmetto Bay and you're a boater, now you know what? You have a straight shot to Black Point.
You're there, yeah.
So, you know, will we have a little bit more traffic down our streets? Maybe. You know, in the long run, it's probably not going to make a huge difference. But, you know, those are things to think of if you have small children or pets and you don't want to be on a main corridor, bridge or no bridge. But
and also commercial property. There's commercial property in Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, and Cutler Bay. And if you're backing up to an empty field that's commercial property, don't think it's going to change.
It's not going to be like that forever.
No, but it's going to change. Somebody's going to think of all the population coming down here, what they can build, whether it's a restaurant, and always need more restaurants. Who doesn't love a restaurant you can walk?
More restaurants.
Yes, more happy hours. But so you have to realize, and are you going to be able to complain when you actually moved in next to a commercial property? You knew it was empty field. You knew it was commercial property. So I think that's on you. And appraisers call that built-in obsolescence. It's even if you move across the street from a school. I had a girlfriend who's a realtor, and she moved in across from the school, and I was like, that will always be a negative. Every person who appraises that property, every time, it will be a negative to be right across the street from the school. So if you say that to your realtor, is this a negative? Use your common sense. Be street smart.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're trying to tell. Actually, Jen and I are trying to talk about today is be street smart because it's your money. And you're going to have to resell this property, even if you live there for 30 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those, obviously zoning can change, but typically it's not going
It's
to.
not. No.
But yeah, I mean, and another reason, you have all these people moving down here from New York or California. A lot of people are relocating and they're buying houses sight unseen.
Yes.
And if they're not using a realtor, they don't know these things. They don't know if they're backing up to a farm stores
Right. You're right.
right? Or they're moving onto a busy street. They don't really know these things because they're not native to the area. So obviously we're here to help those people.
Yes. And you really want to use a realtor that knows. It was so funny. I was with a realtor yesterday. Obviously, I'm not going to say her name. And she's like, oh, I'm getting a new listing in Pinecrest for $375. And I'm like, really? Pinecrest? Because we know like the lowest is maybe $775. So I'm like, oh, where is that going to be? And she's like, oh, right near such and such park. And so she named a park in Pinecrest. And I said, well, could you kind of tell me the address? And I wasn't going to go after her listing, but the address was way out west.
The price was intriguing.
No,
right?
you're like, oh,
place?
really? Like a condo wouldn't be that price. And Pinecrest. And so it was way, way, way out west. And I was like, it was like near the turnpike, that west. And I'm like, that's not Pinecrest.
No.
And I was like, this girl is going around telling people she's going to listen to Pinecrest listing. And she was so far off. And I'm like, and even if we're not, that was way west of the highway. So east of the highway going, even at that far south, you'd be in Palmetto Bay and not Pinecrest. And I was explaining to her that, where does it start? Where does it begin? But oh my gosh, really, you need to research your realtors. I mean, we'd like everybody in the world to use us, but still it is your money and be
it has
smart.
to be a good fit,
yes,
right? Like
right.
Everything has to be a good fit. And this is a relationship,
right. And you're going to really work together. You have to have somebody who can say, okay, I'll drop everything I'm doing and I will show that property to you. I will get you in. And how am I going to get you in? Because they know me. They're going to answer my calls.
Right. That's Pam and I are both very involved in the local business associations. You're past president of Palmetto Bay. You're a past board member of Pinecrest too.
Yes, I am too.
I'm the current president of Pinecrest.
And BNIs. We're in BNIs.
We're both in BNIs and involved in many other chambers.
Right.
And, it's good because we know a lot of people.
Yes.
And
you have to, if you're bidding against 20 people, you want to make someone happy that you're going to do business with in the future, that you're going to see all the time. You're not just going to blow them off.
Of course.
And unfortunately, I hear that more and more from friends of mine who are realtors. Unfortunately, fortunately, I have lots of realtor friends, and they talk about this person not returning their phone calls or not taking their offers or saying we didn't have time to give your offer, even though it was cash and over. And you're like, they didn't have time. And you kind of feel sorry for that realtor, but of course the customer loses too.
Of course.
So it's important to get somebody respected and somebody who's going to fight for you and knows what to ask and knows what's happening in Pinecrest. In Pinecrest, we have a lot of homes, and I'm one of them, who don't have water. So they've just decided to put water down some of the streets. So there's different issues in different cities, and they're not bad or good. It's up to you, but you need to know what's going on in the city.
It's decisions you make when you buy your house. Like, like living in Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest as well. A lot of houses have old pipes.
Yes.
But, right?
Yes.
And when I was looking at it, was eye-opening to me, but it was a decision I made. I bought a house with old pipes. Eventually I'm going to have to change my pipes, but it was the house that fitted my needs. And the minute I walked in that door, I knew that was my house. But, it's give and take in these neighborhoods.
Yeah, and you're right about the pipes. The pipes are a big deal that people would not realize. And there's different ways and different prices to get around it. I had old pipes and I had people go down. I had my pipes were in pretty good shape, actually, from a 1955 house. I had, unusually when you do have a hole,
I have years. I'm a 68, so I still have
you got you have a lot.
God willing, please.
But
Right?
it's not a big deal. What do videos cost? $450. Mm-hmm. But it's important to be there and have your realtor be there. I had one house, they did 3 different videos and they were all different outcomes and everybody wanted money. And finally, my customer actually rented one from Home Depot, did it himself. And we found an acorn had got under the toilet.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes. And so he took the toilet off and there were it looked like roots. So he just pulled the roots out of this with his acorn, boom, the pipes are fine. the credit they asked for, they didn't get.
That acorn brought us a lot of problems.
That
those couple
was,
weeks.
yeah, that house was, it was great. And my customer was amazing. He was an engineer and the really cool customer who did that. But with my house, and what most houses do, if they have a problem, it's under the kitchen sink.
Mhm.
And I did, and they fixed it. But I did the thing where you kind of zap the pipes with this
lining.
The lining, and you zap it, and like for 2 or 3 days, you can't use the bathroom. Half of my house is added on, so I have PVC in half my pipe. But the old part of the house had the cast iron, which was in great shape. But I went ahead and lined with PVC. I'm not going to say how much it cost because every house would be different, but it was significantly less. And I would. I can certainly give somebody's name if they want to call me. I'll be happy to share that. But and see, then you don't have to dig up the floors, which is kind of a big deal.
Right.
But what happens is if you do have to dig up the floors, you want a plumber, people were getting huge credits. They were getting a credit for the pipes. They were getting then you had to put cement back on top of the pipes, which they don't always quote.
Today.
Yeah, there's alternatives.
It's not like it used
and
to be.
redo
It's
the
not
floors,
as bad as it used to be.
Yes.
Which is
and there's
good.
a 50-year warranty.
With the lining.
Yeah. So, I mean.
So you hear that? Pam has a referral for you, everybody. If you need to get your pipes lined, call Pam.
Yes.
So if you want to reach out to us, you go to themayorsgroup.ewm.com.
Yes.
You could always call Pam or call myself.
Yes.
Our contact information is on the websites as well. And also, Pinecrest Business Association, our June networking luncheon we're moving away from the park as we do every summer. But for the first time, I think the first time ever, we're having our luncheon at Anna Capri. So
oh my gosh, we love Anna Capri.
So June 15th.
And so does Grant. He loves it.
Grant is always there.
If I go to Anna Capri, he's there.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
So June 15th is our networking luncheon. Again, at Anna Capri this month. So go to pinecrestbusiness.com and register for that luncheon. I'm sure it's going to fill up quick. I'm sure we're going to.
And you don't have to be a member of Pinecrest to go.
Nope. You can come check us out. We'd love to have you come visit and see how great we are because we know you're going to join. We also have a back to business special going on right now where it's only $99 to join for the rest of the year. We realize that people are getting back out. It's time. We're back out. We're networking again. And we encourage you, to get involved again because, we're all coming out of COVID. We're all coming out of this pandemic where we've survived, the past year and a half. And it's time to get back to business. It's time to start networking and working with each other. And, it's all about locals supporting locals. And
local businesses. Yes.
Local businesses.
Some businesses have done well and some haven't, but
it's unfortunate. A lot have not.
Yes, a lot haven't. So it really is important. Every customer is important. And I think what we see a lot in the real estate business is that we do a lot of advertising and we're out there. A lot of it is personal. It is in person, getting to know somebody, getting that listing, selling that house, hearing what's going on. So it matters to go to a networking event. It does. It really does. People like to do business with somebody they can talk to.
Absolutely.
It's like the mortgage. Sometimes people do online mortgages, and I'm not saying they don't work, but I'm saying I think it's good if you're going to do financing with somebody where they live. you know where their office is, and you can talk to them on purpose.
Yes.
A person, and it's your money, and it's important to have that personal relationship. And you know what? I find people in person help you more.
Oh, for sure.
Than just doing it over the phone or doing online. I went to Panera today and they had somehow lost my online order. But when I got there, I ordered everything I wanted that I couldn't do online with this person. I thought,
it was better that way.
It was better this way. And they were super nice. And I was very happy. That's the way we all need to do that, to try to get back to each other.
We do. So shop local, support your local businesses. Yes. When you're driving home down US 1 and want to pick up dinner, stop at a local restaurant and support your neighbors. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the Miller Brothers for hosting us.
Yes.
If you're interested on coming on if you are a member and you're interested in coming on the Business Spotlight, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you on. And we'll see you next week. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Be safe.